So today the subject matter is going to be a little bit more intense. So, in the past we've covered sort of your psychology and then relationships, and now we're moving on to something a little bit more mature. We're going to be discussing things of a sexual nature. So of course it is important that you are of age, which I know you are, so that's fine, of course, but there's nothing to be ashamed of when discussing these kind of things. It's actually a really important part of therapy here. So I hope you are comfortable, but if there's anything you don't wish to engage in, just simply tell me and we can move on to the next topic, okay? Alright. So, let's discuss things such as desire, because desire and relationships are important. We often worry that something we'd like to do will sound strange to another person, or we fear their rejection. But what another person might accept isn't usually precisely defined. It might depend quite a lot on how we approach the topic, or how we make sense of this desire to them. So, let's delve a little deep here, and let's discuss your desires. What desires do you have that you worry another person might find odd? Yeah, we're just jumping right in. Okay. Okay, and how could you ideally explain this to a partner or potential partner? To make it more comfortable, yeah, okay. And how do you believe this interest has developed? If you can go back to things happening in your younger years, perhaps? And this was, okay, yeah. I see, okay. And how do you feel this links up with other aspects of your own personality or character traits? Yeah, and defining your character and things of the matter like that, okay. When you were, okay, and that, got it, okay. Yep, go on. Continue, yes, yep. Okay. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about Freud for a second. So Sigmund Freud's greatest insight was that many things remain unconscious because of our impulse towards what he called resistance. The unconscious contains desires and feelings that deeply challenge a more comfortable version of ourselves. But the price of not facing up to them is anxiety and neurosis. We should make peace with our glorious oddities and contradictions, but of course that's not always easy to do. And it could take some time and be a little bit challenging. Do you agree with this? Does that resonate with you? Okay, well, what activities or experiences might you feel ambivalent about because let's say they conflict with your orientation, belief system, sense of self, but you might secretly have a certain appeal for. Would you say? And you can be vague or detailed here. It's completely up to you, as you know, okay? Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. I see. Yes. Go on. Yeah. Ah, okay. Thank you. Now, we are going to look at the scenarios that excite us and them not occurring by chance. So, in a disguised but important way, they often represent ideal solutions to troublesome issues in our lives. For example, the issue could be nervous around authority. This could be what you like sexually, a partner who takes control. This could be the therapeutic idea. Authority can be exciting, not just a threat. So you can see how there is often qualities of healing that go in regards to issues that can take place. Another issue could be, I might be domineering and controlling, fussy and demanding. What I like sexually, a partner who likes being more passive. And the therapeutic idea regarding this can be, I can be strong and my partner can really enjoy that and not resent it. Okay? There's some more ideas to paint a better picture, but another one is, I feel the need to be very polite all the time. This would be the issue here in therapy, what we call the issue. What I like sexually, talking dirty. And the therapeutic idea, one can say something very rude and the other person isn't offended. In fact, they're delighted. Exactly. And then finally, I always have to preserve my dignity. That could be the issue. What you like sexually is making a mess, being very playful and silly in regards to that scenario. And the therapeutic idea is that one can do things that would otherwise seem ridiculous or embarrassing, but the other likes you for it. Okay. So there is a lot of healing that can take place in this regard. And we will explore these ideas a little bit. So let's see. So out of the 4 issues, the nervous around authority, the domineering and controlling, fussy and demanding, the need to be very polite all the time, or finally, the need to always preserve my dignity, which one would you say resonates the most with you of the 4? Okay. And you can have a second option as well. Okay. And do you believe in the therapeutic ideas discussed? Can you see how that can tie into it a little bit? Okay. Wonderful. Okay, so we have discussed your issue and the therapeutic idea behind that, but of course issues are not issues. I don't really like to refer to it that way. It's often referred to it that way, but they could be just considered life experiences. Is it necessarily an issue to be polite all the time? Perhaps or perhaps not, right? Okay, it depends on how much that affects you as an individual, and if you feel like you're not being authentic to your true nature. Okay, precisely. Let's discuss normality just a little bit. So it's usually pretty important to us to feel as though we are normal. Not too far out of the range of ideas and desires that would make sense to other people. But we're not actually very good at gauging what other people are really like. since we almost always encounter an edited, limited version of who they are, which is rather misleading in certain ways. So we often construct a disturbing view of ourselves as for odder in a statistical sense than what we really are. So with that being said, that might be a lot to digest there, but what do you feel might be quite odd about you in terms of your sexuality? And imagine if it wasn't really so odd. Okay. I see. And why do you believe this to be odd or perceived as odd? Okay. And when do you think this developed, or perhaps the feeling of shame? Okay. And as I said, imagine if it wasn't really so odd. How do you think that would change your attitudes or behaviors? A little bit more open, okay. Comfort. Okay. Perfectly, yep, perfectly put, exactly. Okay, so mostly in our society it is taken for granted that sex and love ought to be very closely connected, but this isn't always the case, and it hasn't always been the case. There are and have been societies where it didn't seem particularly logical or necessary to think that sex is tied to marriage or to long-term love. In the 18th century, in Venice, marriage was hugely important. Who you married was a critical decision. Weddings were lavishly celebrated. Divorce was almost impossible, but it was considered normal for each married partner to have lovers. How closely are love and sex linked to you? Okay. And why do you believe that is the case? Okay. And keep in mind, this isn't about changing your behavior, but about exploring what you think about that. So there is no right or wrong answer, but it is good to explore. And if you do have any feelings of perhaps shame or pride regarding the topic, I would like to explore that further with you. And how do you feel about that? And has this perhaps changed a little bit in regarding to, let's say, in regards to your younger years perhaps, or as you have evolved a little bit? Okay. I see. And do you believe this will always be the case? Can you see yourself feeling the same way as you get older, perhaps? Ah, okay. Perhaps I need to very interesting, very insightful. So, this topic of sex can be a little bit taboo. Do you have any particular fantasies or concerns you would like to make note of? And we can, of course, discuss them further in our next session. Okay. Yes. Perhaps that is, of course. Oh. Okay, of course, yeah. The behaviors. Okay. Perfect. Well, we seem to have reached the end of that topic. As you know, myself and your other therapist, Lucia, we alternate often, so perhaps next time you will see her in office. And I believe she will be discussing things like other people with you. So that is an interesting topic. We do love to have our various sections of focus in therapy, and then we can of course do a review. So there's going to be a lot of discussion about the others in your lifetime, which is quite interesting. So we will be dealing with feelings of friendship perhaps, and relationships a little bit further, and feelings of enemies, isolation, loneliness, etc. So that should actually be a very good one. But if this topic had you feeling at all embarrassed or bashful, I would like you to walk away from therapy and consider why, because I think it is perfectly normal to have feelings of shame in this regard, but hopefully we can work on that a little bit and perhaps make you feel a little bit more comfortable, as of course it is quite a natural occurrence. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that one act, of course, so something to ponder for our next session. But our time is up today. But it was quite lovely meeting with you. These short sessions are actually quite enjoyable for me, and I do look forward to seeing you again next time. But perhaps it won't be me you're seeing, but Lucia. Everyone's favorite, I understand. Okay, well, I will, of course, continue as I often do, and I like to give you time to yourself in this room just to have a cool 5 minutes of relaxation, winding down, etc. So I will walk away and I will leave you to relax, gather yourself before you head on into the real world, because in these little sessions of ours it does feel quite like a break from society or the norm. And I know that leaving immediately and abruptly can be a little bit shocking, so I will give you about 5 minutes to yourself to relax and unwind in silence. So, okay, I will just excuse myself. And of course, I'm very happy to see you. You look quite well. And I look forward to seeing you again soon, as I've already said. Okay, take care.